stream!
Hey everybody, welcome to Professor DiMaggio's Gaming. So this is another part in the series on optimizing Rashid for ranked matches. In particular, what to do after throw, mid-screen, and in corner. So a lot of what you'll see on my page, some of this stuff is being done in casual matches or in custom rooms, and it's just sort of messing around, doing swag combos or things to style on people. And other stuff is actually really, really useful potentially for ranked matches, for demonstrating your best skills. So how do you know the difference? How to recognize the difference? Well, that's what this series is for. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at what strategies there are for ranked and how to be successful in that, whether you're talking about pre-master or after master with the MR grind. And so usually the name of the game with ranked matches is whoever makes the least mistakes is the most likely to win. And what that really means is that the person who's taking the least risks and who's utilizing the best strategies with the highest probability of actually connecting on what they're doing are the people who are most likely to win. So that's the stuff that we'll be focusing on here. Now, Rashid is sort of in a unique situation where after Season 1, his throw was nerfed, particularly in the corner, with regard to how much pushback the character got on throw. He used to be a lot closer after throw, and that meant there was a lot of stuff that you could do that became harder to do after he got nerfed. So I would say he's probably one of the best players or characters in the game when it came to corner pressure before the nerf from Season 1. And he's still a very good character, but just not as good as he used to be. So we're going to be looking at a number of strategies, really probably like 7 strategies for how you can best utilize Rashid when it comes to the throw. And so without any more wait, let's just get into it. So we're going to start by talking about mid-screen. One of the issues with Rashid mid-screen when you talk about throw is that he really isn't in any position to really get Oki pressure after forward throw. What's going to happen is you have to sort of assume as you climb ranks and as players get better and better that they're going to be more likely to back rise. And so what you're going to see if the player actually back rises after throw is that if you drive rush and do forward heavy kick, which would normally be meaty, if the character didn't, the opponent, if they didn't back rise, then you would connect on this, or they'd have to at least block. But if they back rise, then what ends up happening is you're left right in front of them, minus 28, and it's a free punish for them. So because of that risk, you really don't want to be doing this in ranked matches. What you want to be doing instead is if you're sort of closer to mid-screen, where you could technically carry them to either corner, what you actually want to do is a reverse throw. If you do a reverse throw, when you come out of the throw, you're going to see that you're actually a lot closer. So it doesn't matter if the opponent back rises or not. Even if they back rise, it is still going to connect meaty, whether they block or not, on drive rush, forward, and heavy kick if it's a reverse throw, as you can see there. So if you connect on drive rush, forward, heavy kick as your Oki, you can go into things like target combo and then to whatever other moves you want to do to finish up your combo to get your corner carry, as you see here. Okay, when you're in the corner, because you're so much closer to your opponent, you don't have to worry about the back rise in relation to after throw if you want to do drive rush, forward, heavy kick. So as you can see here, that will still be meaty, and you can connect on that. If you connect on it, you can go into the target combo, which is medium punch, heavy kick, into additional pressure, as you see here. That's one possibility. One of the things that comes up here is that you have to worry about on a drive rush, forward, heavy kick if someone blocks, and they are likely to block. And so, like, let's just say that they do block. You can try to go for a throw. So, strike throw mix up. That's actually something that's really good here on drive rush, forward, heavy kick. If they block, you just punish them with a throw. If you try to go into a target combo, you're only going to be +1 here, which means you're going to take a hit if they press a fast standing light punch button or their fastest standing light. So you don't want to necessarily, if you're playing conservative and ranked, rely on going into the target combo and assuming you're going to connect when you're probably not going to. The safest pressure you can really do here is probably just go into a couple jabs and maybe try and do a mix-up, strike throw mix-up. If you just go into like a jab and then maybe try go for a throw, you can do that. Or you can go into the jab and then drive rush cancel. So if they push a button after the drive rush forward heavy kick, if you push your jab, you're going to connect because you're still +1. So that's your safest button there. Then if you drive rush cancel, right, you can go into another jab, and then you can finish up the combo, as you're going to see here. So you got the drive rush forward heavy kick, they block, jab, drive rush cancel into the second jab. Is the pressure good in terms of a large amount of damage? If you're starting with a jab, obviously not if it's scaled, but you can do additional hits, and you're talking about around 15% damage. So this is probably your best bet if you are intent on using drive rush forward and heavy kick, either going from jab into an attempted throw with the strike throw mix-up, or just going really safe with the pressure of jab, drive rush cancel, jab into a further combo damage. Another thing you can go into that is really safe in the corner after a throw is just another throw. If you run forward and you figure out how to manually time this, and it really just takes practice in the training room, you can do your first throw, run, stop into your second throw. This is harder than it used to be because he got nerfed, and so he gets pushed further back after a throw than he used to be. So if you're not really on the spot with your timing here, your opponent can throw in a jab or a quick button, and they can interrupt your throw. So you really got to practice your timing with this. I think his throw loop is not as effective as it used to be because he's pushed back further, so it gives you a tighter window to connect, which means you got to be really careful when you use throw loop. I still think it's actually really good for ranked matches in terms of it being safe, and you've got a couple of permutations on this that you can go and do off of the throw loop to keep your opponent guessing. So, you can do throw. If they are expecting another throw, right, and they can throw tech here, right? One thing you can do to try and get past that is that, you can sometimes do throw loop and see if you connect, and at other times, like, so for example, you do a throw and then you do another throw. If you were going to go forward a third time, you probably don't want to go for another throw. You could go for a shimmy after the run forward. Obviously, that leaves you susceptible to a crouching medium kick drive rush cancel, which could get them out of the corner. But obviously, there's no perfect sort of move in this game that, it can't be beaten by something. So there's always a weakness. So that's something to keep in mind here. Or you could do a throw and then run forward, and on the second one, make them think you're going to do a throw loop and go for a shimmy. So that obviously would look something like this. You do the throw forward and back, and you're not going to want to move far back. Because things like his standing heavy punch don't have a great range compared to standing heavy kick. So you're only going to want to move back a tiny bit and try and wait for that throw whiff if they're going to tech. So, if the person likes to tech, whether it's mid-screen or in the corner, this is a pretty safe bet for you to try and get the first throw if you can. If you do get it, and you're lucky enough to get it, you can go for a shimmy the second time, walk back, and do the standing heavy kick if you see them push a button in terms of trying to throw tech, and then go into the heavy cyclone and into the heavy mixer after the roll. That's going to be a really good maximum damage combo that gets you around 29%. If you feel not so comfortable being that close with the standing heavy punch, because you do have to get really close and you're worried about your timing and your distance, a safer punish is to sort of walk forward and back or run forward and back, and you can try to maybe not get quite as close and see if you can still bait them out on a throw tech. And if you do, you can do something like shimmy into a standing heavy kick. It's not going to be as optimal in terms of damage, but it is going to be easier to connect on with regards to the whiff punish. And if you land a standing heavy kick as your whiff punish here on their missed throw tech, the optimal damage off of that particular move, although not as good as standing heavy punch, would be forward medium punch, as you see here, into the light cyclone, into the heavy mixer. It's going to get you about 24% damage. Again, not quite as good as 29% damage with the standing heavy punch starter, but if it's a matter of just using heavy kick because you feel better with it because it's easier to connect on, because you can do it from further away, then this is a good way to go too. Another thing you can do is you can do the throw, and you can go a little bit like walk forward just a tiny bit, like a micro walk, into a forward and heavy punch, which is an overhead. I don't recommend this as much as I used to once he got nerfed, because the window is really small. But, you may have an opponent who just likes to block after throw in the corner. And And if that's the case, even if your timing isn't perfect, this is still something you could take advantage of. It's just not as good as it used to be with the nerf, because he's a lot further away, so it's a lot harder. The window is a lot narrower to time the overhead as you walk forward here with the micro walk. But if you time it properly, if you work on this in the training room, you can go into the overhead, and if they don't block high and you connect on it, it's not going to necessarily combo, but at the very least you can get a meaty throw here. It's actually a really good amount of damage if you think about it. You've got about almost 10% damage off the overhead, and then another 12 from the throw. So from that sequence alone, you're talking about over 22% damage. The reason why it's dangerous and not as good of an option as it used to be is if they push a button and you're not really like Johnny on the spot with your timing here. What'll happen is this. They'll just jab you out of it. So it is something that's good, but I would put this sort of in the back of your repertoire in terms of corner pressure off throw compared to some of the other stuff we're going to be looking at here. Okay, some other really good pressure that you can lead with, I think it's better than the overhead, is, despite the nerfs for Rashid, you can do a throw and you can go directly into, after that, you can run forward and do crouching medium punch. And there's still enough space here on their wake up where you can feel pretty confident in connecting on this, despite the fact that Rashid, after season 2 onward, is pushed back a little more on throw. So what you do is you run forward a little bit, you do the crouching medium punch, and you're going to be plus after this. Plus enough that, I don't recommend, if you're in a ranked match, doing a medium cyclone after this, because technically medium cyclone is good in the sense that you can do crouching medium punch, and they're probably going to push a button if they block medium punch. Most people don't seem to know that Rashid is plus after the crouching medium punch. And so they're probably going to push a button, so you're probably going to connect on that medium cyclone, which can then be connected into a jab and then into other pressure. The problem is if people block the medium punch crouching and then the medium cyclone, then you're just wide open for damage. So the safest thing you can do here in ranked mode is just go straight into the jab, as you're going to see here. Because you're plus, and you can go straight into the jab, and then you can go into other safe pressure, like light mixer. And you could also go for a meaty throw after that if you want to do more pressure. Now, a lot of times, if people see you doing light mixer, they're going to try and jump after that because they know that the meaty throw is coming. So if that's the case, that you're going for these kinds of throws in the corner after a first throw, or just if you're going for a throw in general, be prepared always in the back of your mind with your mental stack for people to try and jump out. And if they do, one thing you want to do is, at the very least, try and do a heavy mixer to punish them. If they're going to get out of the corner, that needs to be the price that they pay to get out. And there are more sophisticated ways of doing this. If you are going into the driver, or you're going into the throw, into the run, crouching medium punch, into the mixer, you're going to go for the throw again here. If they jump out. If they're not pushing a button on cross up, you can go for a forward medium punch into the EX spike into the level 1. And that's actually a really good amount of damage there. You're talking about around 26% damage, right? On that. And what's nice about it is, because of the side switch with the EX spike, not only do you get almost 26% damage, but you also put them back in the corner. So that's really good too. Some other really good pressure you can do off of throw into the run crouching medium punch is that you can go again into the jab, and this is also really safe pressure like I was showing you before. You can try and go into a driver's cancel if you assume, or you just sort of expect that they may push a button after your crouching medium punch because you're plus. The jab, like I said before, can go into drive rush cancel into another punch, and then you can go straight into the target combo, do stuff like heavy cyclone into the light sky high in the air, and you can actually do a quick dash after that to get more pressure for throw. So that's a really good sequence to use. Another really good one that you can do is you can run forward with the crouching medium, the jab, drive rush cancel jab, the heavy cyclone, into the roll, into the heavy mixer. It's probably going to be the best damage you're going to get off of light punch, drive rush cancel, light punch. You're going to get a little more than 16% damage there. So that's a really good option as well. Another thing you can do, I don't really see pro players doing it, but it's pretty much the same in terms of meaty pressure, is after the throw you can run forward and go straight into standing medium punch. And from there, you can go into the target combo if they block. But you don't want to stop with the target combo because that'll leave you really negative. So you're probably, in terms of the safest pressure here, going to want to go into a light mixer if you go this route. If they block the light mixer, you want to be prepared for them to press a quick button after, and because you're a little bit minus, a little bit negative, you're more likely to land a perfect parry. So this is something you can practice in training room. The thing about the perfect parry is that it looks really cool if you land it. You look really smart, but you may have an opponent that instead of pushing a button here may try to throw you. If that's the case, and they're not going to push a button, and you really have to just sort of see when you're playing the match if an opponent after light mixer is more likely to try and throw or push a button. I always try the perfect parry at the very beginning to see what they're going to do, because I'm going to try it anyways. And if they end up throwing me, then I know that in the future. I'll actually do an EX mixer after that if I know they're going to throw, because what it does is it opens up a whole game for you in the corner and in mid-screen, where it's going to scare them. They're going to think that you are pretty aggressive, but you're not really being aggressive so much as calculating, because you already knew that they were going to probably throw there again if they threw there once. So if you do the light mixer and they go for a throw there and you do an EX mixer, then the next time you do a light mixer, they're probably just going to block because they remember that you EX mixered them. And that opens up all types of pressure possibilities. If you can train them and like condition them to block there, then it means you can go for a throw, or you can go for more pressure in terms of pushing a button. So that's one good way to sort of deal with it, but it really depends on what your opponent is doing. What about other pressure? One thing you can do in the corner is it actually is not that hard to do juggle combos with Rashid if you are ready to take advantage of players who like to neutral jump. This is not the kind of thing I suggest people do in the corner with Rashid unless you see in advance that the person likes to neutral jump rather than jump forward. But what you can do after throw is you would throw, and this will be meaty, just a way of keeping them there in the corner so that they don't try and jump out on the first one, and trying to regulate and condition what they're going to do. If you know that they're a neutral jumper, they like to jump straight up vertically. You throw the first one to make them block, and that's going to hit meaty, right? And even if they don't block it, they're still going to be stuck there, as you can see. Now, if they like to jump vertically instead of forward, you would throw the light whirlwind shot first to keep them there, and then you would throw the medium in the air after. And so that's going to actually catch them in the air here. And then you would drive rush. And this is from here really actually an easy combo. It's free damage. You would do a drive rush and do a standing heavy kick and a second standing heavy kick because you're that plus that you can do both. And you could go into a forward medium punch and to cancel for heavy mixer. And you're going to get off of 1 bar of meter there more than 26% damage, which is actually really, really good. You can also even go into some other combos here. You can do the throw, light shot, medium shot, drive rush, heavy kick, forward medium punch, cancel into light, eagle spike, and if you have a level 3, you could even cancel into the level 3 after this if you wanted to. You're going to be doing something there in the neighborhood of like 40%, 45% range damage. If you go into the level 3 there, it's pretty cool looking, pretty badass stuff. Yet another variation on what you can do after a throw with the juggle is if you do the light shot first and then the medium shot next, and if they do the neutral jump, if you know they're a neutral jumper, you go into your drive rush 2 heavy kicks, you can go into a medium mixer into a level 1. You're going to get more than 30% damage there, which is a really good damage. What is the real risk here? The real risk here, again, is you want to make sure you've got a neutral jumper before you start playing around with these fireballs with Rashid. Because if they like to jump forward, you're in trouble here. What'll happen is you'll keep them there on the first one if you throw the light whirlwind shot. And the second one, even if you throw the heavy whirlwind shot, which is the one that arcs up the best, and that's what this one is, they're still going to jump right over it, and you're a sitting duck. So what you can do to try and beat that is if you think that the player wants to jump immediately on wake up after a throw, is you can actually throw the heavy whirlwind shot and it's going to catch them in the air on the first time. But other than that, like, you really can't throw 2 of these and try and catch them in the air if they're the kind of person that likes to jump forward immediately, because they'll block the first one and then they'll jump forward on the second one, as you saw here. And then you're, again, a sitting duck, and you've wasted your corner pressure. They're going to jump kick you right in the head. They're going to do a free combo, and a smart player is going to light you up for at least 30% damage, if not much more if they've got super meter built up. So actually what you want to do here to be safe is you can throw the first whirlwind shot to sort of keep them in place. And if they're the kind of person that you think may be jumping forward, what you can do is just not throw a second whirlwind shot. You keep them in place for the first one. And, most of the time, most people who are stuck in the corner, if you're not really doing anything, you're just sort of waiting to see what they're going to do, and you've got a little space between you and them, right? You're just trying to sort of, keep them there. They're probably going to jump forward. Most good players are going to take that chance and say, well, maybe they're not going to anti-air me. But that's what you have to be ready to do, right? If they're not a neutral jumper, and if you think they're going to jump forward, you want to do the throw, you want to do the first shot, and you just want to sort of sit there and wait. Give them a second. Give them a second or two. See what they do. If they jump forward, what you want to do, because Rashid recently got a buff on his medium mixer, and now it has more invincibility frames, is you go into the medium mixer as the anti-air, and because you've got them in the corner here, you're actually going to get more damage than just the 400 damage of the medium mixer. You can cancel that, or you can go into the EX mixer next. And after that, if you're good with your manual timing, you could do things like, as they get up, you can manually time a media like a throw. You can go for something like that. But this is a good way to actually keep them in the corner and keep the pressure going, where you can use the fireball to sort of like try and keep them there a little bit, and you don't have to worry about them jumping forward. If you assume they're going to jump forward, or you think they're the kind of player who will, then just go for the medium mixer into the EX mixer into more pressure. One really fantastically effective strategy that I used to get to master rank for players who are gold, diamond, platinum, low master, under 1500 MR, is to do a meaty drive impact after throw. The thing is, it's not going to be auto-timed. It's going to have to be manually timed. You're going to have the slightest, tiniest little bit of a micro walk after the throw here, where you see him lean forward just a little bit, Rashid, there. And then I push the button. So if you mash that DI immediately after a throw, it's going to just miss by like a frame. So really, you just have to sort of like start leading your button in terms of pressing forward on your D-pad or your joystick, just that ever tiny little bit right before you push the DI. And what will happen is it's going to come out somewhere pretty close to meaty, and you're going to have burned through a whole bunch of frames where they would have had a chance to react to your 26 frame DI. By the time they get up and by the time it gets to them, they're going to have very, very few frames here, if not almost none, to react. Now, I think this is actually a really good strategy, the DI pre-master. And even if you're a master player, if you're like 1200, 1300, 1400 MR, this is going to work really well most of the time for you. It'll probably work really well all the way up through 15, 1600 MR to maybe even a little more than 1600 MR when you get into people who are, Grandmaster, Ultimate Master players. And beyond that, they're going to be looking for this in the corner. They're looking for the DI. So it's probably going to be a lot less effective, and you would probably want to use this a lot less. If you're talking about those sort of really high-ranked MR matches, definitely wouldn't even think about doing this more than once a match, if at all. But for the vast majority of players you run into at master rank, at average master rank or below, or prior to master rank, this is going to be sort of your bread and butter with Rashid. This is one of the things that I did just constantly, not like many, many times in a single round or match, but like across many, many matches. I was using it pretty regularly. So what you get here is really free damage off of that meaty DI. You can, in terms of optimal damage, go into a standing medium punch and then give it a split second and do a standing heavy kick. You can do a light mixer. This is the optimal damage here, into a heavy mixer, and you're going to get a lot of damage. There's other things you can do too off of the meaty DI. If you want an optimal damage combo that doesn't, or that involves a little bit more than just sort of pushing basic buttons, if you want to bring your level 1 into it, you can do the standing medium punch into the standing heavy kick, into the light mixer, into the medium mixer, and into the level 1. And you'll get even more damage there. That's optimal damage. Okay, I saved the best for last. So the best thing you can possibly do, as far as I'm concerned, in ranked matches, the safest thing you can do, the potentially most devastating thing you can do, and I've labbed this out to the point where like it's basically frame perfect, is if you go for your throw, if you have a level 2 saved up, level 2 or more, the safest, best thing you can do, and you should always do this, is do a quick dash back. That gives you enough space where you can break out the level 2 and still have some time to pressure a cost harass your enemy, your competing player, whatever it is. So you bust out the level 2, right? This is going to give you enough time where if you run in, you've got enough time to get in a throw. That's 12% damage there, right? By the time you do that, as you can see, the tornado is barreling down on them. If you just push forward and heavy punch here to try and go for an overhead, if they block low, you're actually going to miss before the tornado gets to them, because there's just not enough time to do that overhead. So what you have to do here in order to connect on the overhead is you have to drive rush overhead. Then you will connect as the tornado is barreling down on them. And so this is actually a really good strategy for people who like to block low. If they parry, there's really not much you can do here. You can try to go for a throw after the tornado sort of connects, and if they're parrying, you can try to go for a throw, see if you can get it. If they're blocking high, if there's someone who likes to block high generally, you could try to go for like a crouching light kick or a crouching medium kick or something to connect and do a combo from that. But typically I usually start by assuming in the corner that people like to block low, and more often than not that's actually a correct assumption, and you can go for the overhead, and if you connect on it, you've got a drive rush overhead that hits them, and then the tornado hits them, and you're already up to 18% damage at that point, and that's when the fun is just starting. So you would have to time this, of course, but after the overhead, after the tornado, you're going to wait just a split second as they start coming down, and then you're going to do the light enhanced eagle spike, and that's actually going to give you enough time after to go into the EX mixer and into the EX sky high. And then after that, if you don't have any more super meter to spend, let's say you only have level 2, you can just go into a heavy mixer after, and you're talking about around the neighborhood of 53% damage for 4 EX bars into level 2, which is fantastic. 52% plus the 12, don't forget, with the throw. So this is really devastating stuff. If you have a level 3 here, you have 3 meter or 3 super bars. You can do the dash back, bust out the level 2, go for the throw. If you're successful, go for the drive rush overhead again, do the delayed light eagle spike that's enhanced, do the same stuff, go into the X mixer, the X sky high, but instead of the heavy mixer here, you do the medium mixer into the level 1. And now you're talking about around 57% damage plus the 12 from the throw. So that's 69% damage. And that's not even counting whatever damage you got taking them to the corner, which was probably going to be around 15 to 20%. So this is like a sort of a round ender here. If you get 69% damage plus 20% taking them to the corner, that's like almost 90% damage. That's pretty much round over. And so this is really, really good. I don't think you can ever go wrong with busting out a level 2 in the corner after a throw, especially if you do the backdash, because that gives you some time to harass the opponent. Thanks everybody so much for watching. If you liked the video, please feel free to give it a like if you want. If you are not subscribed to the channel and you'd like to, please feel free to do that. And so you can get more updates on more ways to optimize Rashid's combos and strategies. And of course, there'll be other types of videos coming out too related to all types of other content that I do. So thanks again for watching and take care.